So I thought to myself the other day, I was kind of saying, and if you haven't already noticed, this isn't a late night commentary, it's more of a commentary that I did in the day. And I had this weird notion that happened to me in the sense that I'm bored of Call of Duty because I've kind of talked to a couple friends about this, and I say it every once in a while. I was like, I am so sick of playing video games where I make no progression, I guess you could say. Basically, and I always compare to Minecraft because Minecraft is a great game for this example, and I say to myself, well, I'm playing Call of Duty, I have fun in Call of Duty when I play with friends, but when I play by myself, I'm normally miserable. That or I'm tryharding to get like kill feats or something like that. But I don't go on Call of Duty for the progression or the overall fun and experience. I go to Call of Duty to kill, get my competitive nature out, and really just fight through what I'm doing. And when I play Minecraft, however, I'm playing for progression, which I find a lot of video games these days lack. I mean, when I say progression is that at the end of the day, I build my house. The next time I log on, that house will still be there. And maybe more stuff. And I can collect my stuff and work on getting more stuff, or I can burn it down, or I can try building a new house, or build a farm, or like a whole entire redstone mechanism, and things like that. And the whole point is that, I mean, when I play Call of Duty, once I beat the game, or once I beat the match, I'm done. I gain nothing, I lose nothing, nothing has changed except for numbers on the screen. You know, you have more kills, you have more deaths, you have a better KD or a worse KD ratio. I mean, and I talked to a friend of mine, I told him, I was like, I'm really sick of Black Ops, I'm really sick of Call of Duty in general, and he had like the joking gasp reaction because he's an MMO slash RPG player. He was like, oh, "You're bored of a game that you talk nonstop about?" Well, I don't talk nonstop about it. He just wanted to be an asshole to me, and I really think that's my biggest problem. Is I'm getting old and I'm sick of playing games that force me to go down lanes. Now, when I say this, I mean it exactly the way it sounds. I mean, when you play Battlefield 3, it's this nice, wide, open arena, and there's many variables in what you can do on the map. But when you play these fast-paced shooter games, I am so sick of being forced to be told, hey, you can either go to the left side, you can go to the middle, or you can go to the right. There's only 3 ways you can go, and maybe a couple little side routes in between to make you get to left lane, to right lane, to middle lane faster. And you can't really deny it because for those of you who've played League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, or Dota, you can compare this to Call of Duty right now, or maybe any shooter game. I mean, Halo takes a better step at making multi-terrain situations, but it's still a 3-lane game. I mean, every first-person shooter game has this aspect, and I am so sick of it. I hate the idea that I'm forced to go this way. I'm forced to choose the middle, left, or right, or I could camp if I want to, but. And that's just me getting a little older and saying, hey, I'm expecting more out of video games now. I know I can't make my own video game yet, but if I did, everybody would say this. Is like, oh, I would make a great video game. I'm not saying I'd make a great video game. I'd say I'd make a fully customizable game. Because I'm gonna say something right now is I hate role-playing games. I absolutely, or not like role-playing games like Skyrim. I hate role-playing in general. Like when you go on Star Wars The Old Republic or WoW and you say, I'm gonna role-play with people, I absolutely despise it. I can't understand it. I have no relation to it. However, one thing that I firmly agree with role-playing is that the idea of role-playing is you create your own storyline, you create your own scenarios, you make your own fights, your own struggles. You're creating your own game within a game, and it's really meant to play out in your mind, which is the one thing out of role-playing I really respect, but I still hate it. I can't do it because most of the people I ever interact with were complete uptight assholes, and I couldn't deal with it. Now, in my supposed video game, and I've talked about this before, is like I don't care too much about forcing people to be in lanes. I care about giving them the option to create scenarios which challenge themselves, the players, and the computers to the maximum limit. My example being, if you could play Gears of War Horde mode right now, what would you, if you could make your own map for it too, what would you do? Would you be the asshole who's like, oh, I'm going to go to round 300 in Horde mode and by giving myself 3,000 rocket launchers and snipers to kill enemies? Well, why would nobody else was going to want to play that because it's too easy? Or are you going to be the guy that's like, this is a flat land with a lot of pillars in between. We're going to make this really challenging. We're going to put a lot of melee weapons down and a few pistols, and we're going to see how long we can survive. That's what Halo was, except for I'm trying to adapt it into the Gears of War Horde mode / firefight. I mean, and that's my idea of a video game, is sitting there, playing, having fun, but at the same time, you can play that mode that tells you, go down the 3 lanes, go pick this storyline, or go choose that adventure, you know. But you need to let people customize, and that's what Minecraft did for me, and that's what I expect out of video games now, mainly because of my getting older, is like, I just don't like rushing down lanes as much as I used to. I can still play the games pretty well, but it's just so boring. I want to be able to build, I want to customize, I want to create my own scenarios. I want to play fucking Skyrim and have 20 of my friends, and I want to have us go against 2 dragons, 3,000 Dwemer, and like fucking hordes of goblins. I want to be able to do that and say, hey, which one of us will live the longest? Or I want to create the map that we're going to use for the Horde mode, or I want to create the monster, well, not the monster, but the appearance of the monster, or maybe I'll make this guy a little harder. The more customization I get, the longer I'll be playing that game. Like Halo 4 lasted a month for me. It gave you a lot of customization power, but it doesn't give me enough. And on top of that, there's not a lot of people playing it. But if I had to choose between playing Minecraft and Halo, or I mean Call of Duty, because of how many people were on it, I'd drop Call of Duty in a nanosecond. I'd throw it in a toaster, because Minecraft gives you that customization. Although the problem with Minecraft is, for me, is that to really create that adventure you want, to make that fun story up, you got to be a plugin designer or developer. And I can't do that. I really don't have any understanding of the coding language. I've tried it before. I'm not fluent in it. I don't even understand a lot of it. And that's the one thing that I lack in, is I have to go and reach out to an outside source to say, hey, could you teach me to do this? I want to see what other people think about this, because you play video games for fun. You play video games to compete. You play them for the storyline, or the role play, or maybe the adventure of it, or maybe just the cinematics of it. I mean, there's a million reasons you play a video game, but when I have no progression in a video game like Call of Duty, I want to blow my brains up, because I want to come back to my game and say, hey, here's my character, here's my fortress I built, here I'm fighting against all these people, or maybe I'm working to build my fortress to save this race of people, or I don't know. I want to create that. I want to be able to say, hey, it's my story to choose, but at the same time, I'm not going to be the loner that's playing the video game. I want to reach out to people and say, hey, us 5,000 people on my YouTube channel, like 4,400 people, we all rallied up and we're like, hey, we're going to create the most epic world in all of this video game, using Skyrim as an example. We're going to create a recreation of Tamriel and Cyrodiil, and take them and smash them together and make them fight each other. But like over here, we're running supplies to our fortress to get, you know, resupply our soldiers. But that cart's getting raided, so we need players to come in and help protect it. But if it doesn't get protected, that place doesn't get. It's a constant battlefield. You get my point? Or like a Minecraft thing where I want to build a castle and just be like, this is my dominion, and just keep expanding and expanding, and see how far that with the 400,000 people, or whatever 1,000 people I said, and just like expand until we've created this whole entire metropolis of houses and farms and shops and, you know, job areas and just things like that. That's what I expect out of a video game nowadays, and we have the technology to go there. I mean, but to ask a developer, a company developer, to do that, they would lose their mind over that, because they won't make as much money from doing that. I mean, I'm sorry. It'll cost them a fortune to do that. But if you give a person so much freedom, I talk about this as well, as like StarCraft 1. If you give somebody that much freedom, they'll be on the game for a long, long time. However, they'll after that game dies out, you know, you can make another one, but there's more likely not going to be that much sale in the market. And why I compare it to StarCraft is because StarCraft 1 and Brood War were exactly like I just described. You could do so many things. I mean, your progression wasn't there. Like after you logged out and came back in, you didn't really have anything new. But you could create these amazing game modes and game types and maps and just evolve them to the biggest amount of creativity. If you play StarCraft 2, you know what I'm talking about as well. It's like the person who made Squad TD or 1 billion Zerglings or things like that. These are all crazy ideas, and they're evolved from just one person. And doing that in a video game is what's the most perfect thing. Not giving the developer the say that, well, we expected to make it this way. If you give the power to the players and you say, hey, we're giving you all the tools to make your own adventure, here you go, you've created a fantastic video game. And I know it's a little hard to make money from it, but it's possible. There's a lot of different variations you could do. For example, like I said there, you could maybe sell the disc in different formats. Like this one is the Forge mode where we allow people to work on that. This one's the campaign because some people love the campaign. This one's more of the multiplayer just going at it, and this one's more of the online MMO. And you divide those 4 things up and you really market them well, because if you combine all the games, they're together, they're one, and it makes I'm kind of going long. I mean, this is my idea of a perfect video game, and even if it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if I find a game that meets those attributes that I'm looking for, I'm infinitely involved in that game. I'll instantly be drawn to it and say, I'm coming back. I will keep coming back because you're such a great game. And the most important thing about all of it is that I want to share that with my friends, but there's not a lot of games that do that as well as allow you to share it with your friends, because a lot of people are on fucking Call of Duty. So, I mean, I don't normally say this, guys, but I do encourage you to share the story around on Twitter or Facebook. Any of your friends who are video game enthusiasts, just sit there and say to yourself, hey, you know, maybe this is right. I mean, we've been playing these video games for some, what, 23 years now? I mean, I don't know when the first video game was really invented, but, I mean, technology and software has moved so far along that we can say, hey, we expect a little bit more than a straightforward run-down shooter, you know? I don't want to really demean a game company and be like, you're doing it wrong. I want to say to them is like, hey, you've done it right. You've marketed your game. People know your title. Now do something different and take a huge risk and give people what they really want, which is customization, the own ability to share it with their friends, and a lot of different things. Theater mode, for God's sake, is a great thing itself. But please share this around. This is something that I really think is something that people think about, but they don't know how to express, or maybe you didn't think about it until now. And, I mean, you can agree or disagree with me all you want, but if you sit there and you say to yourself, we're going to use Call of Duty. I'm going to play Call of Duty, but I wanted to bring back the Chinatown map from Call of Duty 4, which was actually a Call of Duty 1 and 2 map. I want to bring that map and put it into Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops 2. Or maybe you were like, hey, that gun in Call of Duty 4, the MP5, I want to bring that into Black Ops. Not the MP5K, because the MP5, for those of you who don't know, the MP5 and the MP5K are different. MP5 is American, K is German. So, I mean, if you're allowed to do that, though, it creates so much fun. Here's the final example I'll give you before I leave, because I know I'm going really long on this. Why do you think Counter-Strike Source and Team Fortress 2 lasted so long? Because people had that power. They had the ability to customize, to create their own scenarios, write their own custom coding, and that game went beyond the limits, and people still play it to this day, a lot of people. So you can debate me on that, but when you look at living proof like those games, you gotta think about it objectively. But please share this around, guys, and also if you don't already, please follow us on MoTube, and thank you guys for listening for this really long commentary.